Hi everyone, so today we are working with a stencil. So I started this video, and as I was starting to record the tutorial for it, I noticed that I was doing something wrong. Finally figured out what I was doing wrong to trace after. So I kind of wanted to just film this to post to explain how to stencil correctly. This is probably the 10th time I do this. I've probably done this like 10 times prior to this. But if you don't practice it, you forget it. So basically what we're doing is we have this frame that holds our stencil. And let me just go and rinse this so we can start over. Okay, so we're back. So basically what I was doing is once I had my stencil ready, I would basically load my spatula and not unload it. I'll show you what I mean in a second, but I want to show you the correct way and how it's supposed to look versus what it looks like when you don't unload. So with this, every time you scrape, basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your spatula and unload the excess or the extra icing back onto your bowl or whatever it is you're using, so that when you go back to scrape, you're working with this surface instead of having a spatula loaded with icing, whereas you're scraping and you're just scraping on more icing, which is this. So when you don't unload your scraper, you kind of get like a more 3D effect, and the letters look kind of cool for a little bit and they're raised. But when you go to remove the stencil, what's going to happen is it's going to pull on some spots and you're not going to get the definition that you need from the letters. So this is the wrong way and this is the right way. So I'm going to show you step by step how to do this the right way and how I did it the wrong way too. So give me a second. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is after a few cookies, what you want to do is you actually want to clean your stencil again, because you'll find that the icing will start to get in between the very little crevices or the tiny spots where you don't want it to be, and then you'll lose definition. So every time you clean it, just go ahead and dry it very well. Make sure you're working on a clean surface. And if you haven't seen one of these before, it's a frame. I don't know what the official name for it is, but I guess it's like a stencil frame, and it comes with two widths of cookie. So if you're working with a thinner cookie, what you're going to do is you're actually going to put this side down, then you're going to insert your stencil and add the top part. So basically your cookie needs to be snug at the bottom. So if you're making thinner cookies, the thin side goes to the bottom. My cookies are a little bit thicker, so what I'm going to do is I'm placing the thick side on the bottom, placing in my stencil, and placing in the top frame. If for reference, I'll just show you. So when you're working with a stencil, you want your stencil to be flush to your cookie. So this is the thicker side. As you can see, my cookie is going to be flush here. If your cookie was thinner, you would use this side, just for reference. So let's do this here and this. So let's do a cookie the correct way. I'm placing my cookie. I'm lining out my stencil to have it kind of centered. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spatula. I highly recommend getting a thinner spatula. So in the beginning, I couldn't find this and I was going to work with this, but this is a lot bigger. And as you can see, it kind of like hits the frame. It's not as easy to work with. So highly recommend getting one of these thinner spatulas. I think this is from the brand Sweet Sugar Bell. I got it with a pack of, it was like a cookie decorating pack. So I don't know if they sell them separately, but definitely a spatula that's thinner. So we're going to load our spatula using a different spatula, and you're going to just kind of like set your icing on here, and you want your icing to be stiff consistency royal icing to make sure that when you remove it, your letters or your design transfers well. If you use consistency that's too runny, it's not going to look as great. So let me move this here. And I usually like to work top down. You could do left, right, or whatever feels better for you, but top down, left, right. And then at this point, you just find spots that have not been filled. Then this, you unload on the edge of your bowl, and you go back and scrape away any excess and kind of fill in any gaps. So you unload again, you find a resting place for your spatula, and you remove this quickly. So here is the transfer. Then when you're doing this wrong, this is what I was doing in the beginning. So I'm placing my cookie, I'm lining out my stencil, I'm loading this, and then I'll show you what happens. So you're stenciling and stenciling and stenciling, and at no point you unload. So you just keep stenciling and working with this. So what you're doing is you're not working with a clean surface, so anything that's at the bottom is going back on your stencil. So when you try to remove your stencil, it's either going to get stuck or a lot of the letters are going to lose definition. See, it's a lot harder to remove. And then, I don't know if you can see it here, but like the A lost definition, the and is almost connected, the H a little bit. Whereas if you do it the right way, it looks a lot cleaner, a lot better. And I also feel like when it's, when the letters are not as raised, once you go to bag them and move them around in a box, you have less possibility of breakage of that purple icing or whatever icing you added on top with the stencil. So it gives for a cleaner feel. Yeah, but so here's the two. This is the right way, the wrong way. I hope that this video is helpful. I'll go ahead and link everything down in the description box below. For anyone asking about the glitter, it's Diamond Dust from the Sugar Art. I'll have all of that linked in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment, questions. I'll also go ahead and post this on my Instagram. Hit the like button, share it with a friend, and thanks for watching. Bye.